Hello, everybody. Today, I'd like to share with you an overview of my unit that I created for Mrs. Castro's fourth grade class. Now, something to note about Mrs. Castro's class is that she said there were a lot of struggling readers. So, in order to give her students more opportunities to engage with literature, I incorporated children's literature into every single lesson that I created. So, there are three lessons which make it up the unit, and each lesson is incorporates the social studies standard from Ohio. Since her classroom is in Ohio, we were focusing on the Ohio learning standards, and the content standard for social studies that my group chose was content standard 15, which basically focuses on students being able to understand that as citizens of Ohio, they have rights and responsibilities, not only to Ohio, but also to the United States, and that they should be participating in their local community. So, like I said before, this unit is composed of three lessons: a language arts, a math, and a science lesson, all of which are tied into the social studies content. Now, for the language arts lesson, students are finding areas of need in their local Ohio community, and they're writing an informational proposal about the issue and how they're going to help. So that ties into the social studies standard of the students learning about and becoming more involved in their community. For math, it's tied into the social studies standard by students exploring the wildlife in the local Ohio community. So they're getting to know their community, and then from their explorations in the local wildlife, they're going to display their findings using a graph. And then for science, it's tied back into the social studies standard by students discovering the needs of the animals in their local areas in Ohio, and seeing what environmental factors that they could work to change in their local community to help those animals in their habitats. So for my English language arts lesson, the title is A Proposal to Help the Community. So for this lesson, it focuses on two things. One, students engaging in their local community and creating plans to help improve their community. And the second goal is for students to construct an informational proposal based on the research that they find. So to open up this lesson, I incorporated the children's book, What is Given from the Heart. Now, this is a book about a boy and his mother who, even though they don't necessarily have a lot themselves, they notice someone who is in even more need than they are, and they pull together their resources to give what little they have to those who are in more need. So from this, students will go into a discussion about the importance of giving and the importance of helping those around us. And from there, they will then move into their activity, which is discussing local problems or issues that they see in their local community that they could help with. For example, if there's a park that needs cleaned, they could create a proposal to for the class to go, maybe on a Saturday, and help to clean up the park. So students will get into groups and research these problems and come up with creative solutions on how their class could help address those problems. And then from that information, students will create an informational writing with both the problem and the solution that their group came up with. These proposals will then be given to either the school board or those in the local community um, for the students' help to be approved. And then hopefully the students will be able to actually go and complete the community service activity. Now, to tie this lesson into a Catholic connection, I was thinking of Matthew 22, 36 through 40, where Jesus gives us the greatest commandment, which is to love God above all else and to love your neighbor as yourself. Through this commandment, the Lord shows us the importance of loving and caring for those around us, even if we don't necessarily have a lot, like the students saw in the book at the beginning of the lesson, that even if you don't have a lot, there's still something that you can give, whether it be your time, um, whether it be some resources that you have, you can always find something to give and some way to love your neighbors around you. Now for the next lesson, which is our math lesson, the title of this is What is Around Us? During this lesson, students are focusing on applying their knowledge of graphs, specifically um, line plots, in being able to display information that they find about their local community. So to begin this lesson, the students will be engaging with a text Inch by Inch by Leo Linoni. And this text is about a worm who goes around measuring different things. So this will be able to spark students' prior knowledge about measuring, and students will be engaging in a discussion about what they know about measuring, different tools that we use to measure, and different ways we can help keep all of our data straight when we have a lot of it. So from there, students will move into reviewing what they know about line plots by completing 2 worksheets that require them to answer questions about a given line plot and then also take measurements and create their own line plot. After students have done that review, then they will engage in the What is Around Us activity. So for this, students will go outside on a nature walk to explore their local community around the school and to see what flowers are around. Students will have rulers with them that they will measure the length of these flowers. Then they will record the length of the flowers and the what type of flower they think it might be as they're outside. And once they have gathered about 20 or so different measurements, all the students will come back inside and they will compile with their partner the different measurements that they had and all the data that they found. Then they will take all of that and display it in a line plot. Now, the Catholic connection that I thought for this one was talking about the story of Genesis and how the Lord created the world and how nature is truly a gift from God and it needs to be respected and really taken care of because it is a gift from God. Now for the last lesson, which I created, this is the science lesson, and the title is Life in My Community. During this lesson, students will be focusing on their ability to describe what changes will positively or negatively impact the animals in their local community. Now, to start out this lesson, students will be engaging with the text Finding Winnie, the true story of the world's most famous bear. Now, this story is a very cute, fun story about the real life bear that Winnie the Pooh was based off of. So, in this story, Winnie, who is the bear that Winnie the Pooh was named after, is discovered by a soldier on his way to fight overseas in one of the world wars. And so he is found outside of his natural habitat and he is then taken overseas and he is taken to some battlefields and eventually he ends up in a zoo. So through this story, students can see the different habitats that and environments that Winnie is in, and they can discuss which ones were good habitats that really helped him to thrive and which habitats and environments kind of restricted him being able to live his best life as a bear. So from there, students will talk about important environmental factors for different animals, seeing what factors could negatively and positively impact the animals. For example, they'll talk about the importance of having good air quality for the animals, having resources for the animals, the food that the animals need in the environment. They'll also focus on the importance of having clean water. And so for the gizmo, will be brought in here, which focuses on water pollution. And for the gizmo, students will see how different things such as trash or um, different food scraps or food coloring could affect the water. So this will help them to see how different forms of pollution in the air and the land could really get into the water and affect an animal's habitat and negatively affect that animal's life. So once students have engaged with that, then they will break up into groups of about 3 to 4, and they will choose each group will choose a local animal to do a little bit more research on and discover what that animal really needs to survive in their habitat. And from there, the students will look at the different habitats and environments that those animals encounter in their local community. So, for example, if one of the groups chose to research about a turtle, they might see the different foods that a turtle needs. Then they can look at their local area to see if those foods are actually present, if those plants are actually present for that local animal, or if for some reason or another those plants have um, become extinct or become close to being extinct. So once students find out some information like that, then they will work together to create a plan for how they could then solve that problem, how they could help the community to improve the environment for these animals. So once students have researched about the animals and researched about the environment in their local community, and then come up with creative solutions for how to improve that environment, they will then come together and create an infomercial explaining their findings. So explaining the what that animal that they research needs and how that's not necessarily being met in the local community, and then what step we could take to help improve or get closer to that actually happening and that environment being a positive environment in the local community. So once students created those infomercials, it would be the hope that those infomercials would then be able to be shared with the local community, possibly even with the gaming commission, and the gaming commission could even put them on their website, possibly with the parents' permission, of course, for these videos to be on the website to help inform local community members about important steps that they could help take to improve these environments and to raise awareness in the community for these needs. So the Catholic connection that would go with this is a letter from Pope Francis, which focuses on the importance of respecting our environment and respecting nature, because like I said in the lesson before, it truly is a gift from God, and it is truly important for us as humans to really be good stewards of what God has given us, of the animals, the land, the resources, and it really is our responsibility to help help nature to really fulfill and live the way that God created it to. So there was a very nice video that Catholic Relief Services created for children, which is basically a brief summary of this letter. So I would show that to the students, and then we would have a little bit of discussion about the importance of taking care of nature and respecting nature. So that is an overview of my unit, which again is titled Getting to Know and Help Your Community. So this will be going to the fourth grade classroom to hopefully help them integrate these three areas of learning into social studies. Thank you guys for listening.